Alaska Energy Metals is delineating and developing the Nikolai Nickel Project, which lies close to infrastructure in Alaska. The company just released a revised resource estimate, which substantially increased its resource estimate. We have CEO Greg Bashir here to discuss the news. I'm Martin Gagel with Market Radius Research. Please remember this is neither recommendation nor research advice. Greg, welcome and congrats on the revised resource estimate. Please give us an overview on the news and what it means for Alaska Energy Metals.
Great to come back and visit with you again, Martin. I visited and did an interview with you a couple of months ago. At the time, I think we had just announced our maiden resource, the first resource for the project. And at the time, it was a substantial amount of metal documented in the ground, over 1.5 billion pounds of nickel. There's other metals to go with it. Nickel's the main metal, but there's contributions from copper and cobalt, platinum and palladium, even a bit of gold, and also chrome and iron, which are important metals as well. But taken all together, if you equate those other accessory metals to nickel, we had a deposit that was more than 2 billion pounds of contained nickel equivalent metals. So that was November when we last spoke, and now as of Monday, we were able to announce, as you say, a very substantial increase in the amount. In fact, more than five-fold increase. We went from 1.5 billion pounds of nickel to over 8 billion pounds, or taken as nickel equivalent, we went from over 2 to over 10 billion pounds of nickel. And furthermore, what was previously two separate deposits, 2.5 kilometers apart, there was enough drill holes in between that we were able to actually join those two deposits together to make this large resource. But it did another thing for us too. It reduced our strip ratio. That is to say, it reduced the amount of rock, waste rock, that would have to be removed in order to get at the valuable rock. And that's a big economic consideration. We also were able to increase our confidence in a big portion of the resource. Just under half is now in the indicated category, versus the inferred category, in which there's less confidence. But altogether, quite a large deposit, smaller strip ratio, and furthermore, we were able to delineate that there is indeed a high-grade core to the deposit, especially on the southeastern end of the deposit, that should make for much improved economics. If you've got a high-grade core near surface, then it is possible to achieve more rapid payback. And so that really helps with the economics. What you're looking at here is a plan view or map view. The grayish outline represents the economic pit shell, which exceeds 4 kilometers in length. The deposit is quite thick, several hundred meters thick. The colors here represent the concentration of metals, and the brighter, warmer the color, the higher the grade. So you can see here red and orange, and through this area, pink and red and orange, indicating that it's higher grade than the green and blue areas of the deposit. And so, as mentioned, this is a very good sign, because we can use that material early in a mining sequence to pay it back quickly. And then, as I mentioned, the strip ratio went down to 1.5 to 1. So that means we would have to remove 1.5 tons of waste rock to get at one ore ton, which is a pretty good number. But if you think about it, since it is thick and wide, in the early days, we would mine only within ore, only within the high grade portion, and not have to remove anyways. So it would be a 0 to 1 strip ratio in the early days. So that's helps a lot with the economics.
That's a huge benefit for the initial economics to get your payback as soon as possible. That's great.
Just to point out a couple of things on this slide. So some of it's in the indicated category, some is in the inferred resource category, and combined, it adds up to a lot. At least it certainly sounds like a lot. 8 billion pounds if you add these two together of nickel, but substantial copper and cobalt, and millions of ounces of platinum and palladium, and even a bit of gold. 3.4 in the inferred category, 4 million in the indicated. So it's a substantial deposit just of the platinum group elements as well. And they certainly contribute to the value of the mineralized rock.
Your drilling is not yet finished, is it? The resource is still open along strike and at depth as well, is it not?
It is. And this graphic I'm showing you now is showing our initial plan. We've got to put a little more thought into this, having just received the results of our resource calculation on Friday. So, but the holes noted in yellow are what we're thinking we'll drill in summer 2024. So the gray, again, is the outline of the current pit shell, and it's the gray is the inferred category resource. The blue is where we have more confidence due to greater drill hole density. And so we have that at the indicated level in blue. So we'll do two things with the upcoming drill program. We'll extend the deposit along strike, particularly paying attention to that high grade zone that lays right in there where my cursor is passing. We definitely want to delineate that high grade zone with greater drilling, and so we'll infill and move that to the measured category. So extend and expand the deposit, but also get a better handle on just where that higher grade mineralization resides. Since that once we move it into the indicated and measured status, then we can put greater confidence, and therefore start to put some economic parameters on it.
And you talked about the higher grade material. The feeder zone, or the very high grade material, that's not fully identified and located at this point. So that's an additional potential upside, right?
It is. Like I say, this higher grade zone within the known deposit will be important, but there's definitely exploration potential to find really high grade, massive sulfides instead of disseminated sulfides. And you can see a photo of a specimen that was collected near this Canwell prospect on the hillside. And it's just got absolutely spectacular grade. And we did a lot of work at these prospects this past summer, and now we're ready to drill there. And I've got some terrific looking targets. Here's a couple of examples. This is a cross section. So there's the surface of the earth there. Way back in 1970 or 1997 or 98, a crew that was working for me in my earlier career with Inco had discovered high-grade nickel mineralization right at surface. And we had enough money to drill this short little hole that did intersect nickel below surface, but What we didn't have was the benefit of this modern geophysical survey that we completed last summer. And these bright pink colors, the red colors, tell us that there's metal sulfides in the ground there. Nickel sulfides conduct very well. This is an electromagnetic conductor. There's also a magnetic response, was encouraging because nickel is a naturally magnetic mineral. So there's some pretty good geophysical signs that there's a fairly large deposit potentially lurking below surface exposures that contain nickel. So I can't wait to drill another round of holes and see if we can't discover massive sulfides like pictured here. With that kind of grade, if 5 or 10 million tons of this material would be a highly valuable standalone ore body. But even smaller deposits of that can be mined early in a mining sequence could really help with payback. So get the capital cost of the mine and mill paid back, and then we can mine away at the lower grade material for decades. So grade is always important. The more high grade we can find, the better, and we'll certainly be on the hunt for it.
And it's especially good when the high grade's at the top and much easier to be accessed early on. So that's solid.
Yep, Martin, if I could, I'd just like to close by commenting on this slide here. It's a little bit complicated, so I'll walk you through what you're looking at. But this compares our project with others deposits that are being assessed and moved forward in North America. The green bar represents total metal. As I mentioned, it's not just nickel, it's nickel and copper and cobalt and platinum and palladium. And so what we've got right now is, and sorry, the blue bar is just the nickel component. So what we've got documented right now in an indicated is here. With one more summer's program, if it all pans out the way I think, then we'll have a deposit that's this big, over 10 billion pounds of nickel. And that'll get us up close to one of our peers that's doing a great job and blazing the trail with a very, very similar deposit. And, this is the grade of the deposits. Ours is a little bit better than most of them, and that's encouraging. And our strip ratio now is quite low, a good sign. Canada Nickel's deposit is in Timmins, Ontario, so they're in a mining camp. Their costs are going to be lower than ours, but I think they're pretty comparable projects. Canada Nickel's several years ahead of us. They have a positive feasibility study. Well, they've got a much higher market cap. And I think we're going to catch up in terms of size of the deposit, but also in value of our company too. And again, Canada Nickel's done very well by attracting strategic partnerships, investments from two major mining companies, and Samsung, a company that's building battery plants in America. So I think we can look forward to increasing our $33 million market capitalization along with the increase in the deposit. And I think we can look forward to potentially having bigger strategic partners that can do some of the heavy lifting on a project like this.
Very impressive. I'm looking forward to seeing the next drilling program come together and those results come out and see what impact that has.
Yeah, well, we'll be drilling by the first week in June. Before that, though, you can look forward to us publishing some of our first pass metallurgical and metal recovery work with the cores that we drilled last summer. We've got big composite samples submitted to the lab, and they're working on them now. And the recovery rates of the metals is a very important consideration on all of these what I call bulk tonnage, low cost disseminated nickel deposits. And so we'll have to get that information, and then that all plays later into the initial economic analyses that we'll do later in the year.
Excellent. Greg, thank you very much for sharing the news and explaining the impact of all of this. Have a great day, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again soon.
My pleasure, Martin, always. And yeah, I'll look forward to the next update.